The first season of SpongeBob is special to me, and I think the perfect way to start off this new series is with episodes that many of you know and enjoy. Ayo, what is up everyone? It is the Alpha J of the Alpha J Show, and today we're going to be doing a new series that I'd like to call Bracket. I've seen a lot of brackets going around for different types of media, and I wanted to bring it to the realm of animation. Before we start off this video, the concept of ranking SpongeBob episodes isn't new, but I feel like the best person doing it at the moment is my good friend Cosmodore. He has been ranking SpongeBob episodes in seasons 1 to 3, and that is the episode I want to show you after you're done watching this video, of course. So here is how this entire thing is going to go down. I compiled a list of all of the episodes from SpongeBob Season 1. Then I put it through a list randomizer to make sure that there wasn't any bias. Then I went over to bracketsninja.com and I made this bracket here that you guys are seeing. What I plan to do is dedicate one video to pre-games, one video to round 1, one video to round 2, and maybe combine the quarterfinal, semifinal, and final. And if this bracket works very well, I'll expand it to different things such as different characters, other seasons, or maybe just a whole bunch of favorite episodes of different shows. So as you see here, I'm just going to go down the list of what we'll be talking about in the pre-games. As you see here, we have Help Wanted versus Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 1, Hall Monitor versus Bubble Stan, Arrgh versus Employee of the Month, The Paper versus Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2, Rip Pants versus Neptune Spatula, Scaredy Pants versus Walking Small, Fools in April versus Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost, Jellyfish Jam versus Nature Pants, and Reef-blower versus Naughty Nautical Neighbors. The reason why these are in the pre-games is because the amount of episodes in season 1 isn't a perfect number for a perfect type of tournament. So basically, whichever is the best episode out of the two will then go on to face these, as you see here. As you can see, Valentine's Day, Pickles, Sleepy Time, Culture Shock, Texas, Karate Choppers, Fun, SB129, and The Chaperone, as well as these combinations down here. So pretty much it is a battle of what I think is the better episode. Feel free to let me know if you disagree or not with my pick in the comments down below. I'd love to see you guys go through the pregame as I'm going through it as well. So as you see, we have this first combination here, Help Wanted versus Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. And what's special about this is that we have the first episode, and we actually have the first episode revolving around Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. And for me, the first episode holds a special place in my heart. Personally, I just love looking back at Help Wanted and seeing how this tiny seed grew a massive tree that Nickelodeon would soon kind of rely on in certain times. And Help Wanted was a very simple episode. It was straight to the point. And I really enjoy how encouraging Patrick is. I like how he riles up SpongeBob when SpongeBob doesn't even feel right about applying to the Krusty Krab, something that later on we would come to see that he's incredibly gifted at. Squidward's and Mr. Krabs' snark compliments work well with the torture that they would later receive from the anchovies. And speaking of things that I remember to this day, I still remember the whole anchovies bit. One of my favorite parts in it is when the anchovies sort of form this wave and it acts like water. However, on the other hand, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy was a lot more fun. It had a better struggle and better jokes. And some people may not like the live action bit that's in it. And it also serves as the first of many more episodes like to come. And the ending was so much better because it had everyone kind of gather around and show that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, while old, can still provide a service. They can still provide value. I personally enjoyed the whole old people ganging up. I think that was better than the anchovies bit. And although the ending of Help Wanted, the way that SpongeBob would then cook a whole bunch of Krabby Patties, was really cool, I don't think that's enough to overshadow all of the pros, in my opinion, of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. I mean, just take the joke of the fake robbery scene. I still laugh at that to this day. So for me, I think Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy wins it, but I still really enjoy Help Wanted, and I really hope I can get around to making a video about it. Although that video will probably be spammed with a whole bunch of yeses, because that's going to be a did SpongeBob start off well. So then we have this next one, Hall Monitor versus Bubble Stan. Hall Monitor was good, and it had a lot more of a step-by-step plot, whereas Bubble Stan was a lot more free-form with how it chose to operate. And I love the different antics in Bubble Stan. especially the technique. I still remember that to this day. However, the desk gag in the beginning of Hall Monitor where Mrs. Puff was calling out all the different names because she didn't want to make SpongeBob Hall Monitor. I mean, she even called out Plankton. I personally found that to be pretty funny. And something that I remember from Hall Monitor that I feel like a lot of people probably wouldn't is the sort of inflection that this random Bikini Bottomite makes within it.
More seaweed medley, dear.
The way she says more seaweed medley, dear. She doesn't say dear in the way that you would emphasize the first half and then not emphasize the second half. She'd reverse it, and instead of saying dear, she says dear. I found that to be kind of weird, and I don't know why I remember that to this day. The wanted gag seems a little dated for me in Hall Monitor, and the ending was a little bit of a letdown, and it would serve as one of many episodes where Mrs. Puff kind of gets the bad end of the stick for just trying to help out SpongeBob, and that isn't necessarily always a bad thing. I just felt like in this episode it was a little bit of a letdown. Bubble Stand was a lot more creative and crazy with its animation, and people remember the in-betweens, especially the technique bit. And I love the early dynamic of Patrick and SpongeBob, the way that SpongeBob kind of leads, but he works off of Patrick really well. It actually reminds me of season 1 Gumball and Darwin, the way that Darwin kind of served as the smarter one of the two, but still played off of Gumball's antics really well, just the opposite here, with Patrick kind of being the slower one, but regardless still having lots of fun. The childhood innocence aspect in Bubble Stand is also just really well done. However, there's not much more to say about it. It's a really simple episode. It was funnier, and so it kind of ends up becoming a battle of if you would prefer an episode with better comedy in a simple story, or if you would like a more complex story that has less comedy. And if there were many other shows, I'd choose the latter. I'm sure you would choose the latter, but I think for SpongeBob, it does its best when combating simple stories, and that's why I would personally give Bubble Stand the win. And now we have Arrgh versus Employee of the Month. Now, Arrgh is an episode I enjoy much more the older I got, due to how much I see the motivations of all of the different characters, but Employee of the Month is one of those first seedlings of this SpongeBob and Squidward rivalry that leaves me wanting more because we don't really see too much of that. Now, Arrgh supplies the my leg gag, and that's always a plus. Seriously, this episode has this big adventurous feel over a board game which parodies Monopoly, and I love the Flying Dutchman's bit in this and how he just doesn't care about the commoners. In fact, I don't know if it's his choir, but just the way that they say plastic when the Flying Dutchman gives this chest to Mr. Krabs, that's just all perfect. Krabs was also at his A game, and I feel like this is the best, if not one of the best, Mr. Krabs centered episodes in season 1. He really was at his A game, especially because of this whole pirate aspect that seemed to happen less and less going forward. The facial expressions in Arrgh is also something to note that I don't feel a lot of people give Arrgh its credit for. SpongeBob's determination becoming his struggle was also very neat, and it shows that SpongeBob can handle that sort of writing. Squidward not caring into caring becomes commonplace, like in episodes like Snowball Effect. The scene where SpongeBob gets into Squidward's home, it isn't even really creepy the way that later episodes would go to show, and it's actually really funny to me. In fact, their chase back to the Krusty Krab is timeless. It's a really hard pick, but I think I'm gonna edge it to Employee of the Month. While both were good, not great, I feel more compelled with the struggle of Employee of the Month. The Paper versus Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2. Of the pre-season episodes, The Paper I don't see a lot on television airings, whereas Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2 is something that I remember fondly. In terms of that episode, it shows themes of apprenticeship, meeting your idols, and courage, and these are all admirable things to do. It shows that SpongeBob is not this ambiguous age, and he often acts like a child or preteen, or at least how they would if they saw their idol. It also deals with the obliviousness of the main character, and attacking an enemy and not really knowing about it, something we would later see in Patrick Man. It wasn't that funny, but I don't believe the decreased comedy particularly hurt the episode. Also, meeting all of the heroes and villains, as well as seeing Mermaid Man, or especially Barnacle Boy, get hurt, was pretty funny. The Paper had a lot of what I liked about Bubble Stand, this whole creative and freeform structure. I particularly liked the sheet music scene, as well as the way Squidward would try to show that other things were better. The fact that SpongeBob found so much entertainment out of a piece of paper is truly outstanding. It may be a bit unfair, but after viewing them, I still lean towards Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2. Although The Paper had a lot of creativity in it, I just find the rewatchability of that episode to be really low. Maybe it's because I didn't see it a lot, it didn't have a lot of chances to stick with me, I'm not too sure. Rip Pants versus Neptune's Spatula. spatula. The story of ripped pants becomes truer and truer day by day on YouTube, or the other way around the more you think about it. Just replace the concept of SpongeBob ripping his pants with this neat and original idea, or maybe a video that went really viral on your channel. You start to think, should I do it more because people like it, or was that a one-time thing? And unfortunately, sometimes it could be a one-off thing. As many of you would know, there is a song on ripped pants which still holds up with me. I feel like the voice change really works with what they wanted to do, and I really like this whole childhood innocence theme that we see a lot in season 1. Having SpongeBob also go too far was also needed. I do like how all he wanted to do was impress people and make people happy, especially Sandy. However, this episode did spawn the Tide Pods meme, so anyway. I really enjoyed a slice of life-esque opening for Neptune's spatula though, and Patrick in this episode is just incredible. And this is really an underrated episode for best episodes revolving around him. I love the climax of Neptune's spatula, and if you think about it, the way that Neptune is cooking all of these patties really quickly, and SpongeBob is putting all of his work into one, maybe that's also becoming truer and truer by day when it comes to YouTube. I love how much time and effort SpongeBob puts into this one patty, especially considering in other episodes, he tends to cook patties quite quickly, like the first episode. Krabs was okay, you can choose to avoid him if you saw fit. Now personally, I think Ripped Pants just barely edges it, although you can make a good case for Neptune's spatula as well. Scaredy Pants versus Walking Small. Scaredy Pants is a classic Nicktoons Halloween episode that I still enjoy to this day. Walking Small is a very straightforward story that holds a very special place in my heart. I think the concept of SpongeBob being scared is done much better in other episodes. The party itself was just alright, it had nothing special to make it memorable. I think Patrick's involvement was really run-of-the-mill. Patrick being stung was the best part obviously, besides the big reveal at the end. The Flying Dutchman was good as always, but he really wasn't anything special. Now with Walking Small, that has a lot more, and it moves me a lot more with its message. I love the struggle, the back and forth, the table turning that happens within the episode. In fact, I still remember the whole assertive joke. Having SpongeBob battle with kindness is just another facet. Now, I personally think Walking Small definitely takes the win for me. It has a better story, it has better comedy that I still remember to this day, and overall, I would just go back to rewatch that a lot more likely than Scaredy Pants. Fools in April versus Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. I reviewed Fools in April in depth, so if you want to hear me talk more about that episode, I actually did a comparison with Little Yellow Book a long time ago, but I still stand by that episode. So if you want to see me talk more in depth about this, just go into the description below. I'll make sure to have that video there or in the card. In short, I really like that episode, and I like how the story has held up. It also shows the Bikini Bottomites in the right, something that certain SpongeBob episodes wouldn't necessarily do too well. And it's totally justified, as Squidward did take it too far within this episode. Although SpongeBob was a bit much, you could enjoy what happens to him with the elaborate trap. However, Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost is just a classic episode that has Squidward at his best. This is one of my favorite Squidward-based episodes, as well as the whole Squidward messing with the two for his own personal gain coming back at him. I still remember that watermelon joke to this day. I think the idea of Squidward pretending to be dead works really well with his personality in season 1. While Fools in April definitely did drag a bit with the whole Squidward guilt, I do think Squidward being negatively affected by his own ego is a tried and true method that works well in Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. And I think that episode is more enjoyable, but like others, you can make a good case for Fools in April. This was one of many, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to deal with this in later videos about this bracket. This was a very hard choice to pick. Jellyfish Jam versus Nature Pants. Jellyfish Jam is another episode I like very much. Stadium Rave, anyone? I really like that whole dance scene. This pairing actually may be a clean sweep because I like Jellyfish Jam a lot more than Nature Pants, and so does a lot of other people. I find Nature Pants to be quite melodramatic, but I don't dislike it as much as other people do. As I've said before, I don't really dislike any pre-movie SpongeBob episode except one, and we'll get to that if I get to that. I find it to be one of the weakest episodes, and by it I mean Nature Pants, although I can still enjoy the episode. I think sad is an emotion on SpongeBob that doesn't really do very well, like dumped, have you seen this snail, are you happy now? I mean, I can go on. However, morbid curiosity turns into chaos is a lot better, not perfect with episodes like Giant Squidward, but a much better concept to tackle. I find Jellyfish Jam to be a lot easier to get into into, because not only is it simple, but it retains this level of over-the-top enjoyment that SpongeBob would go on to master in other seasons. In Nature Pants, even though the beginning is kind of jarring, I mean, it's SpongeBob daydreaming while on the job, you would think he'd be a lot more focused. And in no other episode has it been shown that SpongeBob has this increased passion for jellyfishing. It's just for this episode. So even looking back on it, it's actually gotten worse. I'm much more likely to believe that SpongeBob loves work more than jellyfishing, although you could make the argument that continuity would exist and this is one of his first days on the job. I think the execution on Nature Pants could have been a lot better. I don't think that the concept itself could just never work in SpongeBob, but the ending scene in Jellyfish Jam, you really can't beat that when it comes to a lot of season 1 episodes. The whole song, the whole dance at the end, I just feel like Jellyfish Jam across the board beats Nature Pants any day. Reef-blower versus Naughty Nautical Neighbors. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care that much for Naughty Nautical Neighbors, but I really do enjoy the concept of Reef-blower. I'm kinda surprised that other cartoons haven't at least tried the concept of not using any vocals. I just like how simple it is, and that's something you will hear me say a lot in season 1. How simple it is. It doesn't need to be that complex when it comes to SpongeBob. A simple story, a lot of comedy can go really far. Now, with Naughty Nautical Neighbors, it's not so much that it is bad, it's just that it doesn't have anything to make it amazing for me. Make it something that I can go back to. Like Jellyfish Jam with the ending scene, or Walking Small with its great story, or Help Wanted, or any of the other episodes that I've said I remember blank joke for. Now, Naughty Nautical Neighbors does have this neat back and forth, and it does follow the theme of Squidward messing with the two for his own personal gain. I just feel like Reef-blower was a lot more creative of a concept. Now, I wouldn't want that to be every episode, but I feel like their execution on it kind of blows Naughty Nautical Neighbors out of the water. So I'm gonna have to give the win to Reef-blower. And that was the pre-games of the SpongeBob Bracket. I would love to know your predictions on what episodes you think are gonna win, what episodes you think are going to be going into the finals. I mean, I have the list right here, so you can actually predict round 1. Who knows, if you can get every single one of them right, who knows? Also, let me know what you think, because this is a completely new series. I have absolutely nothing to kind of back this up on. This is kind of just me experimenting. So please let me know in the comments down below what you think of this concept. Anyways, make sure to follow me at The ALPHAJAY Show. Special thanks to all of the patrons who support me in the month of April. If you have any requests, please put in a request video. And if you really like this video, again, go check out Cosmodor's video or my SpongeBob playlist for more content on the yellow sponge. Make sure to tap the bell, and I'll talk to you guys next time. I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.